we will discuss the basics of the Carrack and a solid loadout. Not really a loadout, but just a vehicle situation to make this run decently. Now, frankly, what the Carrack's good for, because a lot of people don't really use the Carrack that often, but it's good for looting, general missions, things like this. If you don't really think about spaceships as the pinnacle of the game, the Carrack pretty much does everything that you want. It is a big ship, but the cross-section at the front can get down to like 2K or 10K. The EM and stuff can get down to like 2K. And then it can do a big majority of missions inserting ground teams and stuff. It's like its specialty. So then when it comes to this top hangar, there's a lot of options that you can use. Mainly the top two are going to be 1 or 2 Pisces. If you need to be farther away from a location, if there's people that can detect your Carrack farther than like 10, 20K away, then it could be good just to have one of these around, and you can park pretty much wherever and just fly one of these in. But this is not as stealthy as, say, an Argo Cargo, an Argo Tractor. And if you run those, you can put 2 Argo Cargos in here and a number of Geos on either side, which will allow you to have more miners and more transportation and a stealthier profile if you have more people on this ship. But if you don't have a ton of people on this ship, 1 or 2 Pisces is good enough. You don't really need the extra Geos. Or you can run multiple MPUVs and an MPUV tractor, because you can fit 3 of these in here sideways. And the MPUV tractor will give you the ability to kind of move some cargo to and from the Carrack from a decent way away, kind of like the Hathor batteries and things like that. Otherwise, not a huge deal. Now we're going to progress down to the bottom. For the Carrack, one of the primary vehicles I would say for the ship is actually the Dragonfly or a hover bike. The rest of it's kind of situational. You can put Furies in these bottom pods, but they're not really needed, and they're not as stealthy as a Dragonfly. But generally, I want to keep at least 1 cargo pod open for cargo. Potentially, you can have a second cargo pod with a couple of Furies in here if you need some extra support or something along those lines. Or conversely, you can have 1 or 2 pods full with like 2 to 4 Dragonflies. And then underneath each of these, you can put like 8 SU storage boxes for your loot and whatever else that you need. And then at the front of the ship, what you're looking at for this is we're going to be doing 4 Geos, 1 DS, or you can put a couple of regular rocks in here if you want, or whatever else. And then an Ursa. You can put 2 Ursas or whatever, but this is a generalist kind of loadout, kind of to do a bit of everything in the game if you really want to. Get some ground minables, scout it out. And this is for like a team of 4 to 6. So generally you'll just fly the Carrack around, take the snub or whatever else to go do the missions, fly in a local area, deploy Dragonflies. Dragonflies go and do the mission. If you need minables or anything else, you have some of these Geos in here, and you have the DS that you can deploy. And the DS is just better at, you know, quickly mining, moving around, harvesting materials, things like that. And the Ursa is just kind of a general transport that's solid. Can't really complain. And it fits in here pretty well. And then on the off chance that you happen to need another cargo transport or something like that, you could put a MPUV tractor on this ledge and park it on this ramp. Or you can potentially also put 2 MPUVs sideways in here, and like 1 on the front if you really wanted to load it down. But the Carrack is very flexible. You can put a ton of Furies in it, you can put a ton of Dragonflies in it, you can put a ton of ground vehicles in it. I mean, you can put a ton of like air transports. But for a general use kind of vessel of like 4 people, this gives you a few transports because you have the Ursa for like hostile environments. You have the Dragonflies for general purpose. And then you have the mining potential and the ability to fly around. And the Pisces is just a little bit more forgiving when it comes to like flying or getting disabled and needing like a backup vehicle, and you can fit 2 in there with no real major issues. And when it comes to stealth, though, the MPUV I think is a little bit better. And I didn't put any of these Dragonflies in here properly, so we'll probably have problems. Now, when it comes to using the Carrack with this, you really need to get good with FPS combat. And you're going to be able to do most missions that you need to accomplish. Like, there's not a whole lot that you can mess up with. But it requires some farming routes. You're going to need ammunition. You're going to need equipment. Ideally, you want a few people. But I've found that you can kind of complete a vast majority of missions solo in the game when you start focusing on FPS instead of the actual ship power level. Y'all guys have a good one.